Is it 3 years enough to get to know the Leica Q2? Let's see it together. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thomas Love here from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. And today, yes, we are celebrating more than 3 years that I'm stuck with the Leica Q2, which is my one lens only, and I'm using right now to record this episode. So I think I have one thing or two I can disclose and share with you. If you didn't watch all the other videos we discussed about this camera as an EDC and the main peculiarities and advantages of using it, plenty of time. So let's go and find together the whole playlist of videos and examples that I shared with you already. But today I want to wrap up after 3 years of use with this magnificent Leica Q2 that of course has some minor flaws, but overall pleased me a lot. And if you know, guys, it was a whole journey to get there, because like plenty of other photographers, you don't get to start with the Leica, you get to earn it and you walk your way through other camera brands in order to reach the top quality. And I'm referring to the glasses, of course, not the camera. But for me, it was a whole journey that involved plenty of other cameras. We discussed this episode. If you missed it, please find it up here. Today, I wanted to celebrate this camera and I took it for another trip close, like 1 hour drive outside Vancouver. We went together to the Taves farm, which is a pumpkin patch since Halloween is approaching. And so I was on assignment to take a few shots, but apart from that, I also wanted to put it to work because I'm using it every day. It's my EDC and it affected the way I approached to photography, because I used to have my Nikon DSLR. I was very comfortable with that. And if you don't know it, guys, this camera sat on the shelf for a few months after I got it. It was a great, good gift from my wife, so thank you for that, when I turned 40. And then, you know, we resist change. I always say that we resist change because we are so comfortable in the way we do things. Assuming we are having good results, we are not any motivation to change our habits. But this time, guys, I had the Leica sitting there. I didn't know it very well. I was keep using it, my Nikon D750 and all the glasses that I had, the 24-70 f2.8, the 70-200 f2.8, and the 50mm f1.4 that I loved. And apart from using the Nikon, because in my humble opinion, the gear has to repay for itself. So whenever you are improving, changing, adjusting gear, you need to have a project, an assignment to justify the investment, at least in my opinion. And so I was having this Leica there. I didn't know it very well. I was also grateful because it was a very beautiful gift, but I had to force myself and push through a change, because let's face it, this one lens only at the time, we're talking about 3 years ago, but the camera was on the market for already 2 years, so it was a 5 years old project from now. Back then, DSLRs were still a thing. And so we had a few mirrorless, mainly from Sony. We knew about the Sony alien technology and all the capabilities that the beautiful Sony cameras had, especially when paired. At the time, we're talking about Sony plus Zeiss glasses, so there was a perfect couple, but I was not ready to transition to Sony. And when I got my Leica, it sat there for a while. And then one day I decided I had to finally evolve, and I started using it, but still I was having my Nikon D750. I was still taking it with me most of the times when I was going out hitting the streets. And then at a certain moment I said, you know what, let's get rid of all the old gear and let's stick to the one lens only, because this camera can please you in many different ways. You can shoot 28mm, you can crop in camera, you have so much resolution, you can shoot 4K videos. We discussed this already. But as I used to say, every camera and every glass and every time that you change your gear, it will affect the way you are shooting. So I can discuss how much the camera changed and how much the camera changed me. So first things first, this camera is a beautiful 47 megapixel full frame camera that comes for free when you pay for the glass, or at least this is what I used to say, because the price point for this camera is comparable to any other Leica M-mount glass. And so when you are paying for a glass like the 28mm Samilux and you have a whole camera that comes with it at the same price, well, you can only appreciate that. And it is comparable in the way you shoot to a Leica M, which we all envy, which we all hope we would get eventually one day. But the Leica M6 is basically the same shooting experience as you're having with a Q2. Of course, that one is a rangefinder, this is a mirrorless and it has a EVF, but the shooting experience, the quality of the assembly, the materials, the shape, the size of the camera is very comparable to a Leica M. And so this is the very first advantage. The second thing is that in addition to the Leica M shooting experience, here you are having also the weather sealing, the optical image stabilization, and if you need it, an autofocus. Of course, it's not the latest autofocusing with phase detect, it won't track you when you're recording videos, but still, if you need at least maybe just to confirm focus, you can do it. You can shoot in autofocus and you have several different modes. We discussed already. If you missed that episode, please find it up here. And so guys, this camera evolved through the years because Leica, they knew they had a very good product, but they kept releasing new software updates to make it even better, even better, even better. When I had it at first, it didn't have the bulb mode, which I was using for astrophotography. Now, astrophotography doesn't pay the bill for me, but is something that I used to do from time to time just for entertainment. And with this one, I could not, because the higher the ISO, the lower the shutter speed, so you cannot leave it open for as long as it pleases you. And so bulb mode, forget about it. But I don't have a counterpoint here, just we don't have bulb mode. But with future release, they introduce some functions, some features that are very handy. Like right now, I'm using the latest software, which is 5.0, and it added the face recognition. So finally, I can use this camera to record the episodes, recording in 4K when it's staying on a tripod. When it stays still, it doesn't have to track you that much. It will track you only if you are facing the camera, so I can still use it. So it's my EDC. I'm a photographer, I'm not a video maker, but when I need, and we will see it together, because on the pumpkin patch, I wanted to test the 4K video recording, despite it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, only optical, despite the focusing, tracking, it's not so good in here when it comes down to video. But if you set it to infinite, like you can manually set your focus ring to infinite, meaning after 2 meters, and then it might be like a solution for you. Or if you want to have the autofocusing, here we are seeing a few examples and you will see some lens breathing, so it's not so reliable, but Leica color science, colors are also vivid and also good. And so this is the first thing to disclose. If you watched all the episodes on my channel, you know basically everything about this camera, about the goods and the bads, and the optical image stabilization, and the monochromatic mode, and many other things, the crop in, the video recording. You know really everything about this camera. What you don't know, because you will have to experience it, is how this camera changes your habits. And so here, I came from DSLRs. I was used to having big, bulky glasses, heavy machine guns to take with me. I was going around with a backpack full of glasses, of batteries, of memories, of whatever. And then you maybe need a tripod, additional lighting. While with this EDC, well, the very first change is that I transitioned from going around with the full gear to going around with just a small bag. This is what I normally use. It doesn't even have a brand. It's a bag that I found in a shop in Thailand, and then I'm just using it because in there I might fit everything that I need from this camera. What is it? Basically just a second battery, a second, and I also have a third SD card because you never know. I mounted an additional grip, and then I have the package of filters UV, CPL, ND8 and ND1000, but those are mainly for video recordings, and all it comes very handy in a very small package. And then eventually you can add a microphone. I'm using the Rode Wireless Go tool because if you record videos you might want to have a good audio because the integrated microphone in the camera, just forget about it. But apart from being an EDC and so being able to let me shoot photos and videos, photos we discussed already, the hunting, the fishing, the whatever you want to do with this camera, I think in my humble opinion is perfect for street photography. But I also had some portrait shooting, some landscapes. You can really do whatever you want with this glass. Apart from that, it started my reasoning within the Leica environment, and that's, I have to admit, the biggest change that occurred, because I started wishing to purchase a Leica M10 monochrome. I discovered the whole world of monochrome. Of course, I was used to shooting black and white with my film camera back in the days, but monochrome with digital, basically it's a camera that doesn't have the Bayer filter applied onto it. And then I was starting saving money for this M10 monochrome because I think that is a great way of expressing ourselves. And then I eventually popped into the Pixie, and now I'm using the little Pixie for my monochrome needs. And so I'm using the Leica M-mount manual focusing glasses mounted on the little Pixie for my monochrome shooting. So this is basically how this camera, just being available to me in the last 3 years, changed my habits. So now I go out there more often. Of course, I am manually focusing most of the times. I started zone focusing because with this camera, this is so compact and lightweight and you don't have the flippy screen. So I was used with my Nikon to take odd angles from above, from down there, just looking at the screen that was tiltable, not a flippy screen, it was just tiltable up and down on my Nikon D750. But I stopped doing that because with this camera, with this form factor, well, it's very comparable to a rangefinder. So you just point your glass from up or from down or from whatever toward your subject, and with zone focus, that's a whole new experience. I won't say it's better or it's worse than a regular autofocusing or than a manual focusing on this glass, but at least it's a different experience. So you might be willing to try that too. Go out there and try zone focusing for your street photography, guys. We discussed it plenty of times. We had a few episodes up here with the Leica, with the Pixie, so on and so forth. And then the little Pixie, there was, thanks to the Leica Q2, I was able to get the little Pixie, opened me this whole monochrome world. And so I might have one thing or two to say about monochrome. We discussed already in plenty of episodes. Please find them up here. And I'm actually working on a monochrome book that will be released within the few weeks or months. I don't know how much time I can dedicate to that project, but I'm working on that, and this is all thanks to the Leica Q2. Now, this year they released the new iteration, which is the Leica Q3. I knew the Leica Q was already a very good camera, and when this Q2 was released, it was like a big step up in terms of, well, megapixel, of course. The glass was always the same, and then the resolution, the color science, it added a few things to the original Q, especially when it comes down to battery life. This battery is perfect, and with two of them you can run basically a whole day. Now they just released the Q3. The Q3 is basically superior compared to the Q2 in everything. All of the single aspects, the Q3 is outperforming the Q2. But, and this is my approach to photography, and it might be yours too, and if it is, please let me know down here in the comments and we can have a discussion. It will be also fun to talk about it. Guys, the Leica Q3, since it's a 2023 release, it had to have certain things that are a must in 2023, such as phase detect, AF tracking. And so just for that, guys, 60 megapixels, it's an impressive amount of pixels to be stuck in that full frame sensor, but it's a BSI sensor, so that's good. So basically the Q3 is helping you much more. But is this what you want? Because once you allow your camera to take certain decisions on your behalf, such as the AF tracking, the camera can easily focus and track any subject coming towards you on the street. So that's an easy way of doing street photography if you wanted to. Because up to a certain point, phase detect AF tracking will help you, and after that point, it's basically replacing your choices. And so if you want to have your own way of photography expressed, I'm still not convinced that I'm upgrading, if we can say upgrade, to the Q3, because then I will be forced to hand over to the cameraman decisions that make my photography peculiar in a certain way. Maybe not the best out there. Maybe the AI that Sony implemented is shooting in a smarter way than what I am doing with my manual choices, manual focusing, manual ISO, manual white balance, whatever. But at least I can say I own the end result 100%. And so the new Q3, guys, it's a better camera, but this Q2 has been with me for 3 good years, will stay with me for at least other 10, because even if technology advances, I don't think this camera will ever be outdated. So with that, I hope you got some value out of this video. If you did, please remember to like it, share it on your social media, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any videos to come, and I guess I will see you later. Thank you. Bye-bye.